In this video, we are going to put FSD Beta 11.3.6 up against my roundabout torture test. If you're not familiar with this test, there is a pair of roundabouts located next to a very busy Walmart in Roseville, Minnesota that I have tested many of the recent FSD Beta builds against to see how it performs. The first roundabout, when approaching from the west, has two lanes going into it, the right lane being a turn-only lane that goes into the Walmart parking lot. The car has historically picked the wrong lane and then tries to make a late lane transition to correct for that. That makes it challenging. The second roundabout's fairly easy from both directions, but in this video we'll kind of go at this route from several different directions and see how it performs. In reevaluating my test criteria, I'm going to consider it a pass as long as the car enters the correct lane and stays in that lane, and then obviously avoids curbs and any sort of disengagements from me, the driver, or any interventions on throttle. So that's different criteria than I've done in the past, but I just kind of wanted to call that out. So without further ado, let's see how FSD Beta 11.3.6 handles this route. All right, this is round 2 here, coming from the opposite direction. No issues with this first roundabout. This one is pretty easy for FSD. The single lane roundabouts aren't really that big of a challenge for it. It's these 2-lane ones where it seems to want to pick the right lane. Let's see what it does here. Carrying a lot of speed into this one. It slowed down, honestly kind of slowed down as it went into the roundabout there, which I would say wasn't optimal, but it looked like it kind of did the right lane choice there. So interesting result there. So we'll spin around and go back for attempt number 3 here. All right, this is attempt number 3 here. Again, starting from the right lane. So it's got to make a lane change to get over again. And it looks like it's going to try to stay in the wrong lane here and kind of go into both. So before it would at least signal to get over, knowing that there was a different lane there. And now this time it doesn't actually do that. So that seems to be a potential regression there. There was no traffic directly behind us, but if there was, that would have been a disengagement. So lane selection continues to be a problem here through this series of roundabouts. So I haven't really seen, I guess, maybe that regression, but that's kind of it for behavioral differences between 11.3.2, which is the last version I tested through this section, and 11.3.6, which is what we're on now. So spin back and go back for round number 4 here. All right, this is round number 4, going east to west here. Again, good behavior. FSD has gotten this roundabout down for pretty much all the recent 10 builds as well as the recent 11 builds. And then our problem child up here. Let's see how it goes. Again, carrying a lot of speed. So you kind of see back there is a 15 mile per hour speed limit sign that it does ignore. And then we almost came to a complete stop in the middle of the roundabout there. So I'm going to report that behavior. So I have a feeling it's because the lane selection gives it issues. It then somehow gets confused on what speed it should be following, and it kind of goes wrong from there. So, we're lucking out because there's no cars coming around us, at least in our vicinity. So we're able to get through that section with that behavior, but it is by no means confident. So we'll spin around and go back for round number 5 here in a second. All right, so this is round number 5 here. It looks like it wanted to go into that parking lot for whatever reason back there. But it did figure itself out. And again, we're picking the wrong lane and then cutting back over. And you can see some very sudden movements on the wheel that are not optimal by any means. So I did give it a little bit of throttle input towards the end, but For all intents and purposes, that would have been a disengagement, and should have been, but I wanted to see what it would do there, and I was ready to catch it if it went any further, but not great behavior. So in terms of this roundabout, there's been some conditional changes here with the fact that a lot of the snow has melted, but the snow is pretty well plowed around this section the last time I tested it, if you go back and watch my video, which I'll put in the description below. But yeah, it seems like there's still a bit of a regression. We're carrying way too much speed through that, and we're ignoring, I think it's a 15 mile an hour speed limit sign that is through there. So, that's kind of where things go wrong from there. We just failed to read the slower speed limit signs, and then we also are unable to read the road markings for lane designation as well as the signs. And we're kind of, it seems like, just guessing based upon some potentially stale map data. So anyways, we're going to start here. I'm going to end the nav, and then we'll go back for our final pass, and then we'll kind of summarize our results from there. All right, this is our sixth and final pass here through this pair of roundabouts here. So again, good behavior through this section. No issues. And you'll see up here on the right, there is a 15 mile per hour sign here, a roundabout speed limit sign, that we completely ignore. We're doing basically double that coming into this. So again, I'm ready to press the brakes here, which I'm going to because we were carrying way too much speed. So you can kind of see where that gets wrong there. And it just leads to a lot of issues. So we need to be reading those speed limit signs and responding to them. So I'm going to flip around, and I was actually going to do one final pass going the opposite direction, and then I'll conclude my results from there. So see you in a second. So the car again wants to go into the parking lot there. I'm not sure what route it's thinking it's supposed to follow. So again, we're ignoring the 15 mile per hour speed limit sign. The car is getting over for the first time though. So of course on the final pass, the fourth time we went through this way, the car does the right thing completely, but that was only one time before did it get it right there. And again, it made that lane change super late, and if there was a car right behind us, we would have had to disengage and abort to the right into the parking lot. So, again, we need to get the lane designation and selection done correctly much further back. So, through and through, I would say honestly maybe some regressions in how it's approaching the roundabout, that first one back there, especially from the west to east direction that we did 4 times. The car just carries too much speed, and then from there I think it's having trouble making a decision quick enough there, and it usually makes the wrong one and then has to correct accordingly. So when it's going faster speed, it just makes it that much more challenging to recover from that behavior. So again, I feel like this specific area could be remediated and improved if the system could better detect those 15 mile per hour roundabout speed limit signs, and then obviously read the lane designation. If it had those two things under its belt, we would be able to make much more intelligent decisions around there and nail those roundabouts, I think, with some pretty good efficacy. But anyways, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.